We take a look at the candidates vying for state senator in the 29th district.
Two cities in the Big Sandy region saw their mayors resign earlier this year. Today, their successors will be decided.
And we had plenty of sunshine and unseasonably warm temperatures, but rain chances are in the forecast. Details in a few minutes.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley.
And I'm Neil Middleton.
Welcome to Decision Kentucky headquarters. For the next several hours, we will follow what is happening, of course, in the presidential election, but also bring you plenty of coverage of the races happening right here in Eastern Kentucky.
And we begin with the biggest race in our area tonight, the battle for the 29th Senate District seat. That area comprises of Bell, Floyd, Harlan, Knott, and Letcher counties.
The 29th Senate District is faced with a historic race today, really, after the untimely death of Senator Johnny Turner. For more about this, WYMT's Madison Carmouche joins us now live. Madison.
And historic it has been. Good evening, Steve and Neil, and all of you at home. With 11 write-in candidates filing for write-in candidacy just days before the deadline, many of them filing on that October 25th deadline. In many cases, voters can look to a sample ballot for a better understanding of what and who will be on the ballot. That is not the case for the 5 counties in the 29th Senate District. I spoke to the Bell County Clerk, Debbie Gambrell, about whose responsibility it was to inform voters about write-in votes.
We don't instruct people how to do that. That's up to the candidates to tell them how to vote for the write-ins and how to, to get the word out, because they consider that as electioner, and we're not allowed to do that. This office, we're neutral for, everyone.
Now, on the doors of the precincts that I visited here in Bell County, there is a notice of death for Senator Johnny Turner and also a notice of withdrawal for his former independent opponent, David Sir. But there is no formal list of who those 11 write-in candidates are. But for now, in Bell County, Madison Carmouche, I'll send it back to you all.
All right, Madison, thank you. Well, this is just one of many races we will be keeping an eye on as the night unfolds. Leading up the general election, the 29th Senate seat was occupied by Senator Johnny Turner before his death. Senator Turner died last month following complications from a lawnmower accident. He was 76 years old. Turner was in the Senate since 2021. Prior to his death, Turner had won his race in the May primary and was going to run unopposed following independent candidate David Sir's withdrawal.
Well, here are some of the other races we are following closely tonight. This is the race for Commonwealth's attorney in the 44th Judicial Circuit. Republican Mike Taylor is taking on Democrat Jesse Jean Moberg. The 44th Judicial Circuit covers Bell County. Taylor defeated Lisa Fugate in the May primary. Prior to this election, Moberg had been a city council member and an assistant Commonwealth's attorney.
In the race for a Commonwealth's attorney for the 41st Judicial Circuit, Republican Haley Jo Fields is taking on Democrat Jake Roberts. Fields defeated longtime incumbent Gary Gregory in the May primary. The 41st Judicial Circuit covers Leslie, Clay, and Jackson counties.
Finally, in the race for Commonwealth's attorney for the 47th Judicial Circuit, Republican Edison Banks is going head-to-head against Democrat Matt Butler. The 47th Judicial Circuit covers Letcher County. Prior to his retirement earlier this year, Banks had served as Commonwealth's attorney for 2 decades. Following Banks's retirement, Butler was appointed to that position by Governor Andy Beshear.
Voters in Floyd County are voting to decide who will be Prestonsburg's next mayor. Former Mayor Les Stapleton resigned after a city employee filed a sexual assault lawsuit against him. However, Stapleton said his medical concerns were the deciding factor. 3 men filed to fill the position: Danny Martin, a local law enforcement officer, David Gearhart, a businessman and council member, and Rick Hughes, who has been serving as interim mayor since Stapleton's resignation.
Well, we need the person that is most, that knows the city.
that, knows what we need and that's going to work hard for us.
Voters say they hope once the election is over, everyone can focus on moving forward together with whoever is chosen for the position.
In Pike County, Elkhorn City is also voting on its new leader after former Mayor Mike Taylor resigned earlier this year. Nathan Bryant, who was appointed interim mayor upon Taylor's exit, Roxanne Blankenship, a former city council member, and Elkhorn City woman Janet Atkins are all hoping to take that seat. Leaders say mismanagement and misappropriation of funds have caused issues for the town, so voters say they are anxiously awaiting tonight's results.
Let's take a look at some voter complaints that have occurred in eastern Kentucky so far today. In Knox County, there were several complaints, including voting machine and buying and selling of votes. And in Pike County, officials say there are 5 complaints regarding electioneering. Those complaints were filed before today.
All right, take a look here at live pinpoint Doppler radar. We are seeing a little bit of rain being picked up at this hour. We'll go ahead and pinpoint over towards portions of Laurel County as well as portions of Rockcastle County where we're seeing a little bit of rain. That's the only thing being picked up right now at this hour. It was gorgeous today. We had temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s, and right now we're still seeing temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s. 78 in Prestonsburg, 80 in Jackson, 79 Hazard. Manchester's at 78. London, good evening to you. You're at 77. Same story in Somerset as well as Irvine. Warmer now as compared to 24 hours ago. We're 9 degrees warmer in Hazard, 6 degrees warmer in Jackson, 4 degrees warmer in London, but that's going to change as we go throughout the week. And when you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 50s and 60s will greet you an unseasonably warm start to your Wednesday. I'll have your complete first alert forecast coming up in a few minutes. Neil, Steve.
I couldn't ask for a warmer election day here in November. Eric, thank you. Kentucky saw a record number of early voters before today. More than 792,000 people cast their ballots before Election Day. More than 656,000 Kentuckians voted early in person. An average of more than 215,000 Kentuckians voted over the 3-day in-person, no excuse absentee voting period.
Now, when going to the polls, some of you may have wondered what straight ticket voting means. That option gives the voter the ability to select the entire slate of candidates for one specific party. Kentucky is one of a handful of states that still has this feature on the ballot. Alabama, Indiana, Michigan, South Carolina, and Oklahoma also give voters the choice to submit straight ticket votes. But if you choose straight ticket, that does not mean you voted for everything.
Plus the amendments as well. So there are other items on the ballot that you will have to go to. Just because you hit straight ticket doesn't mean you voted for everything. But the system we use will let voters know that.
Some young people and others are likely voting in their first election. Back in 2019, Governor Andy Beshear issued an executive order automatically restoring the right to vote in Kentucky and right to be in public office for those who have been convicted of non-violent felonies and who have satisfied their term of supervised release and or their sentence of incarceration. If you were convicted of a non-violent felony, your right to vote and hold a political office is automatically restored when you complete your sentence.
Well, as the night progresses, we will take a look at a variety of topics that could have an impact here in eastern Kentucky.
One of those is the issue of legalizing medical cannabis sales. WYMT's Amelia Lee joins us now from our digital news desk. And Amelia, what does this look like on the ballot?
Steve, there are many different places that are going to have the medical cannabis question on their ballot. There's 19 in eastern Kentucky with this question. Specifically, what we are really taking a look at right now is those that have the county and the city. So that's Clay County, who has this question with Manchester, Elliott County with Sandy Hook, and Floyd County with Prestonsburg. So for example, if you look at your screen, you'll see what the city of Manchester says on their ballot. It says, quote, "Are you in favor of the sale of medicinal cannabis at a licensed dispensary and the operation of other cannabis business in the limits of Manchester?" End quote. And then heading over to county, which is Clay, It'll say, quote, "Are you in favor of the sale of medicinal cannabis at a licensed dispensary and the operation of other cannabis business in Clay County?" Voters will then have the option to say yes or no to these two medicinal cannabis questions. And for those folks who are in Clay County and Manchester, you'll see it twice. But voters have the option. They can say yes and yes to county and city. They could say no and no to county and city, or they could say a variety of yes and no to these two different topics. We've also know that the director of Kentucky's Office of Medical Cannabis says that voting could make it be that there's a difference for the county and city. So maybe the county will be able to have this in their city limits, but the city will not have it in their city limits as well. We do know that there was a lottery, so some of those folks who said yes, their county approves it, they may not be able to have those dispensaries in their area if they did not win in that lottery. But for now, at the WYMT Decision Kentucky Digital News Desk, I'm Amelia Lee.
All right, Amelia, we'll be following these medical cannabis votes closely throughout the evening. There is quite a few of them across the region. Well, voters in 3 eastern Kentucky counties will be voting whether or not to allow alcohol sales.
Letcher, Menifee, and Morgan County ballots will include alcohol sales. Former Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins organized a petition while in office to get alcohol sales on the ballot. Steins had said the Sheriff's Department would benefit from the revenue. Alcohol sales are already allowed in some Letcher County cities. This would allow alcohol sales countywide.
Here are some statistics regarding the 2020 general election in Kentucky. Going back to the last presidential election, former President Donald Trump won the state against current President Joe Biden and other candidates, garnering more than 62% of the vote in 2020. It was also the second consecutive election in which the eastern Kentucky coalfield region did not vote Democrat. This was also the case in 2016. Finally, Kentucky has not voted for a Democratic nominee in a presidential election since Bill Clinton in 1996.
A reminder today that the popular vote does not determine the outcome for president, but the Electoral College does instead. So how does that work? State political parties choose their electors. Each state gets the same number of electors as it has members in the House and Senate, and the District of Columbia gets 3 for a total of 538. A candidate needs a majority, so at least 270 to win. And we want to remind you to download the WYMT News app. You can keep up with the latest election results here in Eastern Kentucky and the presidential race. You can scan the QR code on your screen, and that will take you to where you download the app for free. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, retail credit cards hit a record high APR this year. That's according to Bankrate. Tips on what you can do to guard against the high rates this holiday season.
And we're going to first alert you to some rain chances and cooler temperatures. Details